Hello everybody, my name is Clint Heffern and this is my Module 12 case study for EDL 851. First off, Section 1, a summary of what has happened. I'm the principal and I've been conducting observations and evaluations of teachers to decide which staff members and teachers we're going to offer a contract for next year. And first off, like I mentioned here, I want to celebrate the good, and oftentimes there's a lot of positive stuff and we get weighed down by the negative stuff, even if the negative, there's not as much negative as there is positive. So celebrate the good. It's mentioned that there are a lot of great staff members and teachers, and there's just basically one exception, one exception to this, and that's Mrs. Stevens. So first off, let's celebrate the good. We have a great staff. There's just one negative situation here, and let's not let that get us weighed down or bogged down. But Mrs. Stevens is a notable exception. She's had more than one observation, and she's shown signs that she is obviously struggling. If she is retained and offered a contract for next year, then she will be tenured, which means it will be difficult to get rid of her after this year or after next year. There's been conversations, tried to have conversations with Mrs. Stevens. She's been hesitant and resistant to those, and it's just she's been resistant to change. Thursday, she's evaluated. Post-evaluation meeting, Mrs. Stevens did not react well to suggestions and was very resistant to change. The following Monday, the next Monday, I observed her one more time. It went poorly again. I filled out the evaluation that I did not want to offer her a contract for next year. Informed Mrs. Stevens of this, that I would like to see her Tuesday, the following day after school. So that following day, Tuesday after school, I meet with her, inform her of the decision not to be renewed, and she did not take it very well, kind of reacted, blew up a little bit, and said that she was not given the proper help and supervision and actionable feedback that she would like, and she would take this to court if it meant that. Section 2, the legality of it. Are there legal and ethical issues to it? First off, even though she threatened to go to court, I reflect on this and I have not done anything wrong as principal. Now, is the evaluation pretty plain? Yes. Are there better ways to go about that? Yes. But I have not done anything wrong. I have not violated any laws. I have not breached her contract. I have not made any discriminatory decisions. I have not done anything legality or ethically wrong. Nobody's been physically harmed. Mrs. Stevens is saying that I have not given her proper help, and that's her opinion. But I have filled out the same evaluation for all teachers. I have evaluated all teachers. I've evaluated Mrs. Stevens more than once, and I've made the decision, which I'm supposed to make as the administrator, to not offer her employment for the next year. That's a decision that administrators are supposed to make, and yeah, it might be a tough decision, but I have made that decision, and I have not violated any legality, any laws or anything like that. So yes, I think that should give us a sense of kind of relief and confidence going into this. This is a tough decision, but we've not done anything wrong. Section 3, synthesize and kind of focus this problem into one sentence. I went through the teacher evaluation process, and I have not recommended Ms. Stevens' contract be renewed for the following year, which she has said she will protest in court because she has not been given adequate supervision and help. Okay, what are the facts? Who are we dealing with? First off, the people. I'm the principal. Mrs. Stevens is a teacher, and she's a struggling teacher. She's a teacher in my building. She's a female, and she's married, but it is unknown. I do not know right now what what she's teaching or anything like that. So I don't know who her supervisor is. I don't know any race or demographics of Mrs. Stevens. I don't know that. I just know that she has been struggling in the classroom. It's taking place in an educational building. I don't know what level we're dealing with, any of that. Program. We're working with a teacher evaluation program, evaluation sheet and information with it, contract renewal, tenure, that type of stuff. And the big thing is, did Mrs. Stevens get adequate supervision and help? We don't really know that, and that's kind of a big unknown going in. Reviewing and prioritizing, Section 5. Could this be damaging to stakeholders? It could, potentially, especially if there's a long, drawn-out court process, and maybe that stuff can get ugly It could hurt the reputation of me as a principal, the school. Some stakeholders might not want to invest as much as what they're investing in our school. It could be potentially damaging, but again, we didn't do anything wrong. I've not done anything wrong as a principal. So yeah, what individuals, groups have an important stake in the outcome. For the big thing, keeping this focused is the students have a big stake in the outcome. And that's the decision that I've made as a principal is we need to give our students the best opportunities possible. And I did not feel that Mrs. Stevens was giving them that. And so I made the decision to go a different direction. And that's at the heart of the decision. So they have an important stake in this outcome, the students do. Other teachers have a stake as well, future evaluations. My job is on the line. Mrs. Stevens' job is on the line. So yes, all stakeholders have not been contacted. I could have reached out to other teachers, other administrators, maybe the supervising teacher, even the students. I have not contacted all the stakeholders, and I would like to do that if this was me in a real situation. I can learn more. You can always learn more from other teachers and students, etc. But I do have enough to make a decision that I have made. So that's my final point. I've evaluated Mrs. Stevens more than once, just like I evaluate all teachers. I've tried to be helpful and give her advice, and she's been resistant to that. I'm not broken any laws with her. I have enough to make the decision that I have made as the administrator. Going on to section 6, identify options and consequences. Basically, I've broken this into 6 kind of options. The first 3 kind of are in one direction, and the last 3 go a different direction. So the first 3, my options are stay strong with my decision. Well, I'm not going to renew Mrs. Stevens' contract. I've done ample research there. We're not going to renew her contract. And if she wants to go to court, then we'll go to court. We don't want to do that, but we've not done anything wrong. And I need to inform my other administrators, my boss. I need to inform all the people that need to know about this and inform them of exactly what has happened. We have not done anything wrong. I've not violated any laws, nothing like that. But these are the facts. And then the bottom 3, okay, kind of go a different direction. This is an option, not the option I would like, but we could go this direction and ask Mrs. Stevens to meet again to discuss possible other routes, maybe decide to renew her contract if she gets some help or some different supervision, or get her on a program to, an improvement plan. We could go that direction if we want. But basically, I see this as 2 different options. We stick to our guns and do not renew her contract. And if she wants to sue and go to court, we'll do that. Or backtrack a little bit and say, try to talk with Mrs. Stevens and come to a different route and keep her employment for the next year. So 2 options basically. Going into section 7 here, I've broken that. The top half is the first 3. Basically, we're going to stick to our guns. The bottom half is let's go a different direction and see if we can find a solution with Mrs. Stevens and keeping her employed with us. So the pros and cons of that. The pros, if we stick to our guns and do not offer her reemployment. The pros to that are, other people, other teachers, other employees, stakeholders, etc. They see that I'm going to make decisions for the good of the program. I'm the leader of this school. I'm the administrator, and I'm going to make decisions for the good of this program. And that's what I've done with Mrs. Stevens. Is I'm trying to make decisions that will help our students succeed. I'm going with my gut. I'm not backtracking on a decision. I'm not letting a teacher or somebody else kind of influence my decision with a threat or anything like that. So I'm improving our school culture. I'm improving the education that our students receive. Those are the pros to not offering her reemployment or employment for the next year. The cons to that, possibly an ugly, expensive court case. Damaging reputation from this court case if it gets ugly. Mrs. Stevens causing a big scene. And a con is Mrs. Stevens does lose her job. So that is a con. Now, if we go the other direction, the bottom half of this, if we try to reach a solution with her, the pros to Mrs. Stevens, keeping Mrs. Stevens, possibly resolve a situation. We come to a middle ground. There is that possibility. We possibly improve Mrs. Stevens' instruction. She keeps her job. We don't have a court case. We don't have to go through the new teacher hiring process. Okay, those are the pros. The cons of keeping Mrs. Stevens are we really let her dictate what happened. And other teachers, employees, stakeholders, even students, they see that basically I will fold easily, especially if there's some pressure. and it damages my reputation as principal. And the heart of this decision, the kids do not receive the quality education that they deserve. Moving on to section 8, what is the best option of that stuff that I just identified? And I think it's the top half of that. We stick to our guns. My gut decision, we're not going to renew Mrs. Stevens' contract. And ultimately, guys, it comes down to what's best for the kids, and it's best that we get a new teacher in there. I've not broken any laws, violated your contract in any way. If it goes to court, I've done nothing wrong, and we will, have confidence that we will be fine in court. Cannot fold to pressure. If somebody, if people see that, then with every decision that I make, somebody's going to threaten me or offer some pressure there because they know I will fold. Administrators have to make tough decisions like this all the time, and this is a part of this job. And like I said, students are the best interest in mind. We're making decisions to improve their education, and that's what we've got to have confidence in. So how do we implement this? Section 9. Finally, first off, we've made our decision. I've come to a decision. I need to let everybody that needs to know. I need to let them know. So I need to let all my bosses, the other administrators, let them know everything that's happened, and that we are not going to renew Mrs. Stevens' contract. I would like to try to meet with Mrs. Stevens again the next day, and even if it's not the next day, I would like to meet with her again to try to handle this like adults, have a tough conversation, but I'm just try to get that understood that we're trying to make decisions for the best for the kids. So I would like to try to meet with Mrs. Stevens again. Depending on how she reacts, I would like to inform the staff of what is going on, and that depends a lot on how Mrs. Stevens acts, but basically inform them. I don't want to hide from the situation. I want to be upfront and honest. This is what we've done. We've not done anything wrong. Just so that, we own up to this. We man up to this decision. And going forward from here, there are obvious signs that there are problems with the teacher evaluation, especially the sheet that we have used. It's pretty plain and vague, and it needs to incorporate data and better ways to show if the teacher is effective and all of that. So let's look at revising the teacher evaluation process for the following year to be more in depth, more backed by data. We need to look at revising that. But we proceed with the idea that if we go to court, we are ready to go to court, and that court is basically the worst possible scenario. But we're ready for that. If the court case does not happen, then plan B is no court case. But we are going to stick to our decision of keeping or not keeping Mrs. Stevens, not offering her a contract for the following year. And basically my conclusion is, going back to the beginning, let's celebrate the good. This is a very negative situation, a very tough situation for administrators, but administrators have to make these tough decisions. So although this is negative, let's look at the positive. And like the very beginning of this said, the positive is we have a great staff. We have a lot of great teachers, and basically we have one exception this year. And although this might be a tough decision and a tough just situation in general right now, we have a great staff and a great core for our kids going forward. So let's celebrate the good. Let's keep that in mind as we work forward and not let this get us bogged down. And again, these are tough decisions. Administrators have to make tough decisions. But what was at the heart of this decision? It was we need to keep our kids' best interests in mind. And that's what we've done. We were not giving the kids the best opportunity in Mrs. Stevens' classroom, and we are going to try to go a different direction so that the kids have the best possible opportunities to succeed. So let's keep that in mind. That is it, guys. Thank you for listening.